Hi, everybody. Welcome to Radical Age Reversal. I'm Carrie Donegan. Today, we're going to go back to our book, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to dive into the next chapter. So, welcome to YouTube. Welcome to the Win audience. I'm Carrie Donegan, and this is Radical Age Reversal. We are in the book 30% Happier in 30 Days. And today's chapter is for day 18. Look for the positive. And I kept forgetting this chapter's name, and I kept calling Finding the Positive. So, whatever you want to do, look for it or find it. Either way, I think it's a great topic for us to dive into. Let's first go to Dr. Daniel Amen and see what he has to say about it. Of course, I'm going to bring an essential oil into it. I'm going to talk to you today about the oil roll-on Hope and what it's all about. It's our uplifting blend and how you're going to use this to facilitate this exercise on a daily basis. So he says, I was just starting elementary school when the Walt Disney Studio released Pollyanna, the feature film adapted from a popular novel about an orphan girl, orphan daughter of missionaries sent to live with her wealthy, stern, and unmarried aunt in the fictional town of Blendingsville, Vermont. Hayley Mills, a 14-year-old British actress with adorable blonde curls and a button nose, played the role of the title character. Pollyanna was one of my favorite Disney films growing up. She told her friends that her departed father devised the Glad game after she received a pair of crutches in the mail instead of the doll she wanted for Christmas. Obviously, a mix up that wasn't easily rectified in 1913. What was she glad about? Well, Pollyanna said she was thankful that she didn't need the crutches. When she went to live with Aunt Polly, Pollyanna was punished for being late for dinner and relegated to eating bread and milk in the kitchen with one of the maids. No problem, bread and milk became her favorite meal. When the spinster Aunt Polly banished her to a bedroom in the attic with no pictures, rug, or mirror, Pollyanna looked outside and decided she wouldn't have noticed this beautiful willow tree out her window if the pictures had been on the wall. Pollyanna is quickly introduced to a grouchy old miser, a self pitying invalid, hypochondriac, a recluse, and a fire and brimstone preacher. They share one trait: they're always complaining about something. Pollyanna, however, mirrors what her missionary parents taught her. It's better to focus on the goodness of life and to look for something to be glad about, no matter how dire or bleak the situation. One Sunday afternoon, Pollyanna is hanging out in the backyard of Aunt Polly's Victorian mansion, listening to Tilly, the house cook, Angie, and Nancy, a pair of maids, and Mr. Thomas, the gardener, bellyache about Reverend Ford's fiery sermon earlier that morning while they shell green peas in preparation for the Sunday supper. Nancy says, I hate Sundays. Oh, I just hate them. Pollyanna counters by looking on the bright side and pointing out that they get to have roast chicken that day. Nancy glumly asks if Pollyanna is going to start up again with all of her glad this and glad that. Angie pipes in, asking about all this glad business. Pollyanna explains that it's just a game she plays and that she learned from her father. The others in the group kept moaning about why they hate Sundays, but Pollyanna insists this is when they need to play the glad game. Angie challenges her by saying, all right, Miss Smarty Pants, what's so good about Sundays? Pollyanna thinks for a moment, then replies, well, there's always something. You can be glad because it will be 6 whole days before Sunday comes around again. The group chuckles and sends Pollyanna on her way, and she gradually transforms the entire community with her glad game and cheerful attitude. It's a shame, though, how our perception of Pollyanna has changed in 60 years. Being called a Pollyanna, in quotes, has become an almost derogatory term to describe someone who's naively optimistic, intentionally blind to unpleasant truths, and woefully out of touch with the harsh realities of life. Today, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines Pollyanna as a person characterized by irrepressible optimism and a tendency to find good in everything. Eleanor H. Porter, the author of Pollyanna, which became a huge bestseller during the dark days of World War I, even experienced a backlash from reviewers and readers regarding Pollyanna's unsophisticated reputation a century ago. You know, I have been made to suffer from the Pollyanna books, she said in an interview before her death in 1920. I have been placed often in a false light. People have thought that Pollyanna chirped, that she was glad at everything. I have never believed that we ought to deny discomfort and pain and evil. I've merely thought that it is a far better to greet the unknown with a cheer. Pollyanna's philosophy about finding something to be glad about in any situation is an excellent way to go through life. If there were ever a good time to play the glad game, then today would be undoubtedly qualifying. But no matter what situation or setback you find yourself in, I urge you to ask yourself this question: what is there to be glad about? When it comes to being happy, it's critical to have a healthy brain to train it to look for what makes you happy rather than to continually seeking what makes you sad, anxious, or afraid. Okay, I love this chapter, and I'll tell you why. Because it's very difficult for me to do. And I think it's very difficult for many people to do. And it's a really good reminder and a great exercise. And so I always like to aid what we do with an oil because I feel like we've been given tools and why not use them? You know, it's nice to think, oh, I'm just going to muster the strength to do this thing, or I'm going to dig deep into my talents, or I'm going to be a hard worker. I know I fall back on that a lot. And I really feel like getting back to the purpose of the show, those types of behaviors really, really age us. It's what turns us into the old miser. It's what makes us furrow our brow and get wrinkles. It's the kind of thing that hardens our hearts and we stop seeing the simple joys of life. And we not only stop seeing them, but we lack an appreciation for them. For those of us who have a religious draw for a pool, I think it can close that off, or it creates a veil, or there's so much busyness that you get distracted from this beautiful opportunity to sit in a quiet space and meditate and draw God and your creator into your life. And to remember your roots and where you came from, and that it came out of love, and that you're here for a purpose, and that there are good things in the world that you should be not, that you should be enjoying, not exploiting. I think that's really important to know the difference between the two. I think it's really important to be prudent. It's really important to know moderation at all times. And those types of things leave us in a space where we can find lots and lots of gratitude. When I was reading this chapter for the first time, and just the title itself, one of the things that came to mind was, where there is light, there is hope. And so I want you to think about the darkest point in your life right now, because I think we all have them. We all have these areas of our lives that just have the walls caving in on them, that where options don't seem there, where impossibilities reign supreme, where we feel locked down, locked in, closed off, all of those words. But I want you to close your eyes for a minute now. And I want you to think of that situation. I want you to ask yourself, in that very, very closed off, locked in, dark space, is there any light? Okay. That's the part I want you to hold on to today. And I want you to imagine whatever, however small. Now, remember, I think one of the things that's so important for us to remember is that in total darkness, right? Like if you go and sit in a closet or a room without windows and turn off all the lights and close the doors and make sure that no light seeps in, and it's really, really dark. The minute the door cracks or the light goes on, or there's a tiny flashlight or a lighter or something, the minute light is introduced, The light overcomes the darkness. Darkness never overcomes the light. And if you sit with that for a minute, I think it's really, really important to choose light over darkness because it's always the winner. Light is never overcome by the darkness. So light always wins. Just stay with that as long as you can. Light always wins. So stay in the light. If there's one little thing that you can be glad about, as Pollyanna said, or you can find positive, or you can cling to, or you can have some hope, I want you to stay in that moment. Okay, so let's talk about the blend of hope. When you get this blend, you're going to see that it's only a roll on. And what I like about the roll-ons is they have this little peel back sign. Okay. So you're going to take the peel back sign and you're going to be able to lift the corner here. Okay. Oh, that's actually the safety seal. Once you get the safety seal off, which is also very important because we want your products to be 100% pure as they are intended to be. You're going to peel this back just like this. And it's going to reveal some information. Okay. So here's what I think is cool. See how I did that? See how you can peel back this label? All right. And I will read it to you because the print is awfully small. It says, Hope for a better world. We make the most impact when we work together. Scan this QR code for more information on how this bottle empowers people worldwide to be healthy, safe, and self-reliant. So you're going to see this QR code. Okay. So you're going to take your phone. I don't know if you've ever done this with one of the doTERRA bottles, but this is pretty cool. And you're going to open up the camera app. And when you open up the camera app and you put it in front of the QR code, it's going to say, go to doTERRAhealinghands.org. And there you will find all kinds of information about this blend and the work that's being done to help people around the world. So I thought that is so, so super cool. Okay, let's talk about what's in the blend. We have a base of fractionated coconut oil, so good for the skin. Cedarwood, which is calming and good for your brain. Wild orange, that's our antidepressant. That's our serotonin, dopamine raising oil. Petitgrain, which is also sort of, I always call it like the masculine version of lavender. So it has very similar properties to lavender, but has a more masculine take on it. Then we have pink pepper, which is really, really good to protect your cells. So this oil is going to uplift you. It's also going to protect you. I think that's important to feel protected when we go into a dark space, right? Like when we go into a dark room, we don't run in, we creep in, right? Do you ever see people in the movies and it's like, it's dark and they have the little candle or they have the torch and they're kind of like tiptoeing into the room, right? It's a very slow, like trepidatious type of walk. So we need to feel protected when we go into a dark space. Has bergamot, super uplifting. Remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I gave you the combination of cedarwood and bergamot as such an anti-anxietal, like just brings up those, like destroys those anxious feelings. I love it. Sandalwood, right here, good for your pituitary, good for your brain. One of those good meditative oils. If you can't pray well, if your mind gets scattered, carry sandalwood and inhale the sandalwood and frankincense and myrrh before you pray. It's really helpful. Or meditate. Lemon oil is refreshing and uplifting. Jasmine is good for dopamine increase. Vetiver is very grounding. Another type of jasmine extract, magnolia, which is high in linalool, which is your calming component. That's the one you want in the highest degree. And then petitgrain again. I think you're going to find this to be so lovely, so beautiful. And 100% of the proceeds are donated to the Healing Hands efforts, especially when it comes to child sex trafficking. So I just love this. And you know what? This reminds me too. I love doing this podcast because then I remember, oh, I haven't used that oil in a while. I like to put the oil sometimes right here on my forearms. I like to put it under my nose. If you're someone who wears makeup, I am. You can see that it doesn't ruin your makeup, so you don't have to worry about that. My daughter likes it behind the ears. She's always saying, "Can you do that behind the ears?" I like that. And I think I've told you this before. Another great place to do is like right here in front of your ears. Also, really good. You can also roll it right in your scalp. It's not going to make your hair greasy. It's really nice to get all that oil next to your brain. And remember that coconut oil is so good. Kind of helps with humidity too. I don't know if it's humid there, but it's humid here. My hair can use a little anti-humidifying agent. So great for that too. You had that moment of meditation, go back to it. Use your hope oil. I'll put a link to the hope in the comment section. So you have that in case you're new to doTERRA and you don't know how to get this oil. I'm happy to pass on my discount to you. And I just want to say, remember, if you remember nothing from this chapter, light always overcomes the darkness, right? Focus on that teeny tiny light in every situation and allow it to magnify and spread throughout that room, right? That metaphorical room that we trap ourselves in. All right, thanks for joining me. Another episode of Radical Age Reversal has come and gone, and we will see you next week. We're going to be on day 19. God bless you all. Bye-bye.